What you know about me? Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just want it all. Oh, what you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me?
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of More Than the Title. I'm your host, as usual, Jarrett, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And you know we got a great episode lined up for you guys. Before we begin, man, I just want to say thank you to all the supporters, all the followers, subscribers across YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You guys have really been, just helping me go, man. And we're going to talk about that. And that's going to be the theme of today's show. How do you keep going, right? Especially for our entrepreneurs out there. And we have somebody who's going to help us, show us how to scale our businesses. And we're going to have a great time doing it. So y'all know how we like to start. Grateful and thankful for the entire audience. And I'm also grateful and thankful for everything that we've overcome in the business, man. So I do want to start with the quote for the folks. And y'all know how we like to do it. So this is something I think that aligns with the theme of today, right, y'all? So most businesses don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from a lack of focus. And what that means, y'all, so a lot of companies are full of smart, capable people. Talent without direction turns into distraction. When you chase too many ideas, platforms, and strategy at once, nothing gets the attention it really needs to actually work. So focus on what talent turns into results, because when you're clear on what matters most, your time, energy, and resources start compounding instead of competing, y'all. So just take those words of wisdom, you know what I mean? And we're going to start it off like that. And with that being said, let's get into the show, because we got a great one lined up.
Let's start the show.
Let's get it. So first of all, before I give this brother the introduction that he deserves, man, I just want to say thank you for reaching out. So this gentleman reached out to us directly. He was a fan of the show. He saw the show. I'm a fan of his as well. And, we made it happen within 2 weeks. So, for the first time listeners, welcome to More Than a Title. For my second time and my usual guests, welcome. You know what time it is. But this is a show where we go past the job titles. We dig into the mindset, the journey, and the real work behind success. Today's guest is someone whose impact on founders and business leaders is felt globally. He's an international business strategist, serial entrepreneur, and founder of Strategy Sprints, where he's helped thousands of CEOs and founders scale their companies faster while working fewer hours. Who doesn't like that, right? He's also the host of the Strategy Sprints podcast, one of the top-ranked business podcasts in the world, and the author of Strategy Sprints, a best-selling book used by entrepreneurs across more than 90 countries. His work has been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur Inc., and Fast Company, and his framework is trusted and high-performing founders who want clarity, focus, sustainable growth, and not burnout. So you've seen him on Forbes. You've seen him on Entrepreneur Inc. You've seen him on Fast Company. You've seen him on his podcast. And now he's on your favorite podcast for the very first time. Let's introduce my guy, Mr. Simon Severino, y'all.
Yeah.
What's going on, Simon?
Thank you for having me. Hey, everyone.
Yes, sir, man. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. So we usually how we like to start, because I want to get to the mindset. We're going to get into the story, but let's take it from the beginning. Let's tell us about some, early days growing up. What was that like? And, some early influences.
Boring story, actually. With 20, I didn't know what to do. As I majored in philosophy just to win more time to think about stuff. And then I was lucky enough. This was the time when if you had top grades, you could work for the strategy advisories. And so I went and worked into one of these big strategy houses. And I said, me to all the projects. And so I got to fly around from Paris to London, to New York, to Beijing, and be with the Fortune 500 in one room. And I would have to solve their biggest problems with them. There were problems around market, go to market. Like, how do you enter a market, expand in a market, stay in a market, don't get your market position eaten away by competitors. Yeah. And I did fall in love with that. And so 22 years later, I'm still doing that. Go-to-market guy, sales guy, helping entrepreneurs and mid-sized teams, and also some bigger ones, crush it in the market, really.
And so I'm curious, now as you're saying that 22 years is a long time, man, kudos to you, brother. But what is one of the biggest problems that you solved early in your career when you're flying around to Paris and all these different places? What's one problem that stood out to you that you helped solve that you remember?
If you are number one, your biggest problem is how do you stay number one? Right. And so we had some of the Fortune 500 companies, let's say an automotive company,
Mhm.
that had a problem because there was EV coming up and they had no EV strategy. So we had to take big decisions. Like, do you really change the direction of your company? And if you're leading in internal combustion engine, are you gonna put all your cars into electric, or what's the decision here? And then we work with some geographies like cities and parts of countries where they had to take a decision. Will
Yeah.
we put everything on agriculture? Will we put everything on business? So usually the decision is, where are we? What's going to happen in the next 18 months, 24 months? And how are we going to win? And everybody listening has a different status quo where their A is and where their B is.
Yeah.
But everybody has to ask themselves, right? Where am I right now? A. What's my B in 18 months, 24 months? What's coming for me? And how can I make sure that I'm going to win in that scenario? And so the
Mhm.
first is the conversation. Okay,
Yeah.
what is it that we need to win? What is it that's coming? And then the second is, how are we going to win? And then the third one is the nitty gritty of dividing the swim lanes. Who is going to own which part of that winning?
Then when you when you're thinking of stuff like that, right? So that the wheels is turning, right? Like, what kind of research or market research or what kind of information do these companies have at their disposal before they make a decision of that magnitude? Like, they're looking at their, like the customer segments, right? They're looking at marketing, looking at transactional historical sales, right? What other data are they looking at to make that decision?
You look at all the data available and you still don't have enough data to actually decide, because also whatever data you have right now, next week it's a different situation.
Yeah, totally.
And so even if right now every listener would have, which they don't, but if they would have every possible knowledge about how their buyer buys, what the perfect pricing is that they want, what's the perfect offer, next week might be totally different.
Yeah.
Because of technological shifts, political shifts, geopolitical shifts. So the life of our buyers is changing. And whenever their life changes, we have to adapt our pricing, our offer. There is one thing that we never change.
Mhm.
And then there is a few things that we have to change all the time. The one thing that we never change is who we are here to serve and which problem do we solve with them. Those are the only two things that you should never change, guys. Never. Like in 22 years, I did never change that. Did I change products? All the time. Did I change prices? Every time my buyers change in their needs, I have to change the price. I change the way I charge. I will change everything except two things: who I am here to serve and which problems do I solve with them. Never.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Just in case they didn't know. In case they didn't know. All right, it changes, y'all.
So you have to define who you are here to serve.
Yeah.
So who is your ideal client? In our case, it's entrepreneurs. In the B2B space, we don't do B2C. We do only B2B high ticket services. And we will never change that. And the second thing is, what are you helping them solve? We help them solve the sales problem. And that will never change. We will always help them solve the sales problem. Now, 10 years ago, it was a completely different game.
Absolutely.
And I told them, never say your price. Get them on a call with you.
5-6 discovery calls.
5-6. This one discovery call, one demo call. That's what we used to teach 10 years ago. Yeah. And now it changed completely. I say, tell them your prices, have them buy immediately from your website. So the content can change: product, pricing, services, how you deliver the service, how you charge. Be very flexible with that part, but never change who you are here to serve and what the problem is that you help them solve.
Message.
But you hit the nail on the head, Simon. Something that's super important. The whole buyer journey has changed in the past 10 years, right? Like you said, back in the day, we used to be, hey, ask for a quote. You get in touch with a salesperson. You have 2 to 3 calls. You've qualified. Make sure it's a viable deal. See if their problems match with your, they match your ICP and all that stuff. But right now, today's buying climate, like they're going to go online. They want to see who your sellers are. What are they doing online? Who are your customers? How do your customers think about you? What problems have you solved from them the most? Storytelling is going to be key. So there's going to be so many different touch points until they actually get to that quote. And what you really want to do as a B2B company, and correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of want that decision already made before they come there, right? And so you have to think of yourself as a B2B brand or even a seller, right? Because that's something I did as a seller. I used to think, hey, if I get somebody on the phone, I know I can close a deal, right? But how many chances do I get at that bat? And determines like the relationship. Do you like me? Did I hit the nail? Did I know your problems? Did I know your business inside and out? So I wanted to solve that before I got on the phone with you. And so that's where I created the LinkedIn, the branding and stuff. And that's when sales really took off. So if you're listening to it, sales happen way before they get on the phone with you. Is what are you going to be doing to make sure they're sold before you even get on there? Solve, don't sell. So but I do want to ask you something that's really important. A lot of our listeners, right? Entrepreneurs, small business, mid-sized businesses, what problem to solve is a key thing for them, right? Especially in our community, right? It's so many people, they're talented in so many different things. They don't know which problem to solve. How do you know which problem to hone in on as an entrepreneur?
If you listen and if you immerse yourself into their world long enough, you will know exactly which problems they have. So there is vital problems and there is nice to have problems. So it starts with the vital ones. Vital ones are either reducing costs, accelerating learning, like making them faster in learning about what they need to learn. It's usually about their clients, about their markets, about their competitors.
Yeah.
So you either reduce their costs or you increase their market share. Those are the 2 vitals in B2B.
Okay.
And then there is variations of that. But when you start a business, look about these 2 things. Can you help them decrease costs or increase market share? And then if you can charge 1/10 of that. So if I help you reduce your costs by $30,000, it's appropriate that I charge $3,000. If I can help you add $200,000 to your top line, it's appropriate that I charge 1/10 of that. Now we're business partners. I'm helping you win and I get 1/10 of that, which is very appropriate. That's one of the modules that we have in this Prince University on how to start finding your pricing.
But that I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs. I never heard the 1/10. How did you guys land on that?
It's kind of intuitive if you think about it. If you can cut your costs by $50,000, are you okay with paying $5,000 for it?
Absolutely. Twice on
That's
Sunday.
That's why it works. That's why it works.
But sometimes it's hard. I say that and I'm speaking for the small, the small mid-sized entrepreneurs, right? When you first start now, you're just taking a deal, right? You're not thinking about 1/10. You're thinking about how can I keep my business growing? How do I stay and survive and make it sustainable for tomorrow, right? So pricing is something that you always, I feel like no one gets it right on the first year. No one gets it right? So to actually find that sweet spot and hear the 1/10, I think that's pretty refreshing. And another question I have for you, man, because you said only B2B, why not B2C too? Because their sales cycle is kind of similar, but it's not the same as B2B. But why not challenge that market as well?
Why we don't pick them as a client?
Yeah.
Because you want to be selective as a small business. You can't be the best at everything. You want to be the best at something. So pick a part of the market and be really, really good. So we want to be the best at what we do. That's why we select only 3 industries in one market structure. The market structure is high ticket B2B. And the reason is we want to be so deeply immersed in that and doing it so many times per day that after a few years, now it's 22 years, it's really hard to know the territory better than we do. And when you solve something 2 times, 3 times for your clients, you save it. Is it a Google Doc? Is it a spreadsheet? Whatever it is, you save it. Now you have, in our case, 274 blueprints. So you can't do that. You can't go that deep if you are too broad.
Message.
All right, that's so true.
B2C sales process is very different. It's just from the website.
Yeah.
If you're selling a $200 something, they just buy it from the website. A high ticket, if you're selling a $30,000 something, they will want to talk to you, meet you, and you will need at least one discovery call, one demo call. And that's a very different sales process with different tasks, different pre-call plans. And that's what we have picked as our game to be really good at.
I like it. Well, I got to ask you a sales question, man. What's your sales philosophy? You guys do Medic, Sandler? Like, what is the sales philosophy that you like to implement in your business?
Yes, we use the strategy sprints method. It's the 8 steps here. It's a consultative way, but a modern consultative way. You mentioned Sandler. Sandler is probably the most similar to the strategy sprints method, except that Sandler was developed a few decades ago when life wasn't fully digital. So imagine Sandler in the digital world. They were heavy on the psychology of things, really understanding the buyer and making the buyer drive the decision. That's what we kept, because I think that's the right way to do it. It should feel natural for the buyer, and it's buyer driven. So it's a buyer centric buying process instead of being a selling process. That's what we have in similar with Sandler, because I think that's the right way to do it.
Absolutely. You got to be consultative. I use Medic, but I also kind of use like that Sandler approach, but it's more so just like you said, knowing what the customer wants, right? Building that relationship. B2C is more so customer experience. How do I get to this $30 sweater, right? It's going to determine, do I purchase now? Do I purchase later? Do I put it in the cart? Do I save it? Whatever the case may be. With versus B2B, they know they have a problem they have to solve. And usually it's a window about a couple of months max, right? Say we need a new social media tool or something like that. Hey, we're going to vet the system. We're going to look at Hootsuite. We're going to look at Sprout. We're going to go to the review sites and all of those, right? We're going to check to see what's going on. Then we're going to speak to somebody, and then whoever provides the best experience from that point and understands my problem the best is the one that's going to get the deal.
Yes, what's changed since Sandler is the buyer is more in control than ever, because as you say, they just click, and they gather enough information from different sources, from reviews, from scraping the net, from Amazon reviews, from Google reviews. They can scrape enough information to decide on their own. So while 10 years ago, the seller was in control, hey, you have to book a time with me, and then you have to talk with me, and now you are in my corner and I'm prepared for that and I have a script. That changes completely. Because as a buyer now, we go online, we look at something, we don't find the price, we don't find 3 reviews that speak our language, I move on. 2 seconds later, I'm on the next page. So we are in control as a buyer, and that changes the way the sellers respond. For example, yesterday I was looking for a software, and I want to try it, and it says, book a call with our team. I was like, I'm not going to book a call to try a software. And so I moved on. They lost me. 2 seconds later, I had the next option. I click it, and it says, try it right now. I try it. It was good enough. And for the next 2 days, I'm just going to try it. If in 2 days it solved my problem, then I will find out what it costs. And I don't even care what it costs, because if it solved my problem, I'm going to keep using it.
Message.
There it goes.
I'm going to try the next. So this expectation that we all have from great software, but also from using things like Netflix and Amazon, they just work immediately. You don't have to wait for anybody. It just works. That expectation we now bring to everything else, to services, to products, even if it's something completely different. And we have to adapt. So in my field, for example, McKinsey doesn't have a free trial. There is no free trial. But we do.
Big bill.
Yes, but we do. We do. You can try everything. All these 274 templates that we mentioned, it's $1 million templates, literally. And you can try them, everything. You can try for 7 days. You can see our clients, you can hang out with them, you can use the tools for 7 days free. And after 7 days, you have now enough information and experience to know if that's ROI positive for you or not. And if it is, you stay. And if it's not, you move on. And many people say, oh my God, Simon, people can come in, take all your knowledge for 6 days and then just answer. So yeah, and they're doing it. But it's okay. But Simon, you're losing all your knowledge, all your IP. No, we are just losing, and we're not really losing, but we are giving away a lot of information, yes. But information is not what makes the difference. Everybody knows what Warren Buffett did. The information is out there in the open. But how many Warren Buffetts do you know?
There's only one. Execution is everything.
Execution makes the difference, right? And that's why we have built the space and the mentors and the coaches and all that's needed, and the weekly accountability and the hand-holding and the support and the push, all these little things that are needed for real execution, cadence, rhythm, the coaching. And so they can grab our tools. They won't be the best at implementing them. But if they stay and they have all the right ingredients, the setting, the support, the coach, the push, the peer, the challenges, the quests, and all that mix of ingredients is what creates the execution environment. That's why they will stay.
That's so. Do you have a good success story about a good client coming in based on using that model? Because I know there's some entrepreneurs listening right now that's like, give away everything I got. Tell me how you won, Simon. Like, make it make sense for me. So, can you tell them one big win or one big client that you landed because you used that freemium model?
Absolutely. So right now, I'm under NDA, but there is one of the credit cards that you are using right now is one of our clients.
Wow.
And they have a B2B problem to solve, and we're working with them and on the highest level on their B2B strategy. Wow. And you know what made me confident was, first of all, it's needed, so it's the right thing for the buyer, and that's the most important. And second, I saw examples working already 10 years ago. Do you remember 9 Inch Nails? When they decided to give away their full album, yes, and they said, we're going it away for free. Everybody was, what? You're giving away your album for free? It went well for them. And then Elon Musk said, open source, how we build the Tesla motor. What? You're giving away core IP secrets? I said, yes, they're not going to build a Tesla cheaper and better than I'm building it, even if you give them the blueprint. And he was right.
So method. Most entrepreneurs don't think. No, I love the mindset. Now I've got to ask you, because you were successful, right? Going to help B2B brands. What was that one moment that you just said, I have to step out of my own? I'm creating strategy sprints. I'm creating my own thing. What was that moment for you?
I was in my 4th year. So I was junior consultant, senior consultant, junior project manager, senior project manager. The next step would have been being partner, which I wanted to become, but all seats were taken. Everybody had their territory and their castle built, so I had no chance. It would have taken me like at least 10 more years to become partner. And then I said, wait a second. What if I do this just a little bit on a smaller scale on my own? And so I started a spreadsheet. I said, okay, what do I need? I need 6 months of my costs, of my monthly costs, 6 months. So let's put it in the spreadsheet. How much do I got? Oh, it's 1 month. Okay. So let's save 5 more months, and then I jump. And that's what I did.
What was when you actually did step out and do your own thing? So you have the safety net, you can take a couple more risks. But what was the one thing that you didn't anticipate to happen to you in business? What was the one thing that you was like, damn, I didn't plan for that, but it hurts?
I didn't plan for anything, and I had no clue.
Sounds like all of us.
And even today, many consultants from big strategies, when they go solo, they call us and they want some coaching, and they say, okay, this is my answer. And we start their coaching. It's a 90-day cycle. They want to build their own consultancy. And so they usually come prepared to call one with a business plan. And they want me to look at their business plan. And I say, I'm not going to look at your business plan. And I go, Simon, it took me a week to build it. This is the plan. And I say, nobody cares about your plan. Like literally, nobody cares about any plan of anybody. And you don't need a plan. What you need is a planning process. That's what we're going to install. Every Monday, we look at strategy. What's the bottleneck? We look at your buyer's journey, from attention to education to closing to retaining to upselling, expanding, and referrals. And then we look at what's the bottleneck right now. And that bottleneck will be solved from Monday to Thursday. On Friday, we look at metrics. How many new subscribers, how many closed deals, what did you learn about yourself, about your strengths, weaknesses, the competition, what your clients actually need. That's a planning process. So we call it the focus card. And people can download this process. It's for free, by the way. It's at strategisprints.com.
And we're going to have the link to his website on the episode chat. So if you guys want to check it out, check the frameworks, we'll have it there.
Because whatever your plan is, you will be punched in the face and it's totally different next week. So forget the plan. You need the planning. And the planning, Monday strategy, define your experiments until Thursday, and on Friday, measure and learn and define the next week. That's the planning process. It needs to be as simple as possible. That's why only one page. Why? Because you need to change it quickly. If there is a taco trade, if there is a supply chain change, is there a geographical shock, 10 minutes and you change direction. That's what small businesses in the digital age need. They need to be just quick in adapting.
Quick and nimble. So what are some of the most common bottlenecks that you come across when you speak to entrepreneurs? What is the most
we look at the buyer's journey.
Okay.
Attention, education. So how do you get their attention? How do you turn that into an educated person who's ready to buy? And then how you close the deal. Then how you activate them. Because after closing, it's not really closing. It's the beginning of working together in the B2B, right? So now you start activating them, making them really successful. Then you have to visualize their success. And then you can do upsells and expansion sales and referrals. So we map that in the first week of a coaching, which takes 90 days, right? So in the first week we map it, and now each Monday, a quick look tells us, oh, this is the bottleneck. So for example, we have how many people came onto our website this week? 11,000. Okay. How many started the free trial? 31. Okay. How many finished the free trial and stayed into? 4. Well, now you know where the bottleneck is, right? And you will only solve this week that specific conversion. So 11,000 is fine, but from 11 to 31, that's pretty low, right? So let's improve from 11,000. Let's get it up to 60, 70. What are 2 experiments that we can run? Oh, let's improve the button. Let's improve the button contrast, and let's improve the button text. You can't run both experiments at once. So because otherwise you don't know which one worked. So Monday to Wednesday, we will do the button color change. Wednesday to Thursday, the copy in the button. So the text in the button will be changed. And by Friday, we will know what works. Did we solve that bottleneck? Then we move on to the next bottleneck. Didn't we? Then we run another 2 experiments next week. But if it's solved, let's say now those 31 are 60. Now that bottleneck for now is solved. We move on to the next, which is out of those 60, how do we have more than 4? So let's say we want 8 to stay in the free trial after 7 days of trying.
I'm glad you broke it down that way, because that was going to be my next question. Like, what is the metric of success at that point when you A/B test, right? You got the 31 people. Is it going to be just a double it? Is it 10? How do you know if you just increase by 10 that the copy actually works, right? Because what if you change the copy, now it changes to, now it triples, it quadruples, right? So that's the thing that's going on in entrepreneurs' heads, and that's where they get stuck in a bottleneck, where it's like the 31 is now 41. Shit, I'm in the same problem still. I haven't solved it, but I've been working on it from Monday to Thursday. Simon, what's going on? Right?
And that's why you need a method, right? Because if you are an entrepreneur, you don't have time for all this. You are doing your thing, right? Let's say you're great with music. You're doing music. You're great with publishing. You're doing publishing. You're great with consulting. You're doing consulting. But you don't have time to think about testing processes and optimizing sales processes. I mean, there is nobody's teaching you that, so you don't have the time to come up with something. That we had 22 years time developing these things. It's easier for us to say, okay, that's what we look at. This is the bottleneck, and that's why it accelerates the journey for entrepreneurs.
But you know, just like I know, Simon, that most entrepreneurs where we struggle is that we're too in the business. You mentioned it. We're too in the business instead of working on the business, right? How long did it take you from start to finish? Like, it takes time to create these methodologies. It takes time to create these frameworks. It takes time. So how long should you say, should entrepreneurs, should they work on simply the framework first and then the revenue? Or should it be something that's moving simultaneously?
There is an order of things.
Okay.
And it's 12 pieces, and it's basically two stages, if you want. Stage one is from $0 per month in revenue to 35,000. That's stage one.
Okay.
This is where you're finding stuff out. You're exploring from 0 to 35K per month. You are exploring product market fit. So in that stage, you start with the immediate cash flow producing activities. That is consulting services, because it costs you nothing. It's high margins. You can have 90% margin. So you keep 90% of what they pay you. That's where you start. High cash flow, high margin activities. That's usually consulting one-on-one. From consulting one-on-one, now whatever works, you reuse it. You save it as a module. Now that module can become a course, can become a cohort, can become a program. Now what was 1-to-1 can be 1-to-12, 1-to-24, 1-to-48, 1-to-400. And so the same thing.
Period 5, man. He's talking. This is that stuff.
Same thing, but now you're scaling it. And so first income stream was one-on-one work. Second income stream is now group work. Now you are moving over the 35K per month. You are now at 40K, 50K per month. Different ball game. Now you start writing down the processes, and this is where now you start creating licensing deals. For example, so the third revenue stream, now your knowledge works for you, independent of your time. Example for the listeners. My first book, Strategy Sprints, came out already with Kogan Page, a publisher in London. It's now out there in 2 more languages. So it came out in English, but then we sold the licensing rights to China, to Russia, and to Japan. So that is fully independent from what I did. I wrote it once, but it's making money 4 times. That's a licensing deal. So you put that on top of your knowledge, right?
Message.
And how did we create the content of the book? By working one-on-one with people and then cohorts with people. So they told me basically what they need, and that became a chapter. Simon, I need help with marketing. Marketing chapter was built 3 months later by solving problems with them. So in the beginning, you solve problems with them, and then you can reuse it as a product, as licensing, as software, as partnerships, as a paid newsletter. All that content you can reuse later in stage 2. I just wrote the second book. It's called Time Freedom. It's still a manuscript, but as soon as the manuscript was ready, we gave it keynote in Japan. And that publisher who brought 4,000 entrepreneurs to listen to that book presentation said, can I buy the rights for Japan? And so he already bought the rights for Japan. He's translating it into Japanese. We received serious money already up front. They will translate it, publish it, print it, sell it.
And you get royalty and publishing on the back end.
We got immediately upfront payments, and it's and all the work is on them. That's a licensing deal.
Yeah.
And so after cohorts, you want to do licensing deals, and that the same content can become courses, products, etc. So this is how you stack income streams upon each other, but you always start with the direct cash flow generating ones. Then you add bit by bit until we teach 12 of these income streams, and we want every member of the Sprint Club, it's 250 members right now. We want every member to have 5 to 7 income streams going on at all times, because one is always fragile. One can always be attacked by stuff happening in the world.
Absolutely.
But if you have 5 to 7, you are pretty resilient.
Yeah, if you're diversifying your revenue stream. But I'm going to go back to something you said earlier, right? About the B2B to B2C question, right? So you're saying narrow in, right? So I'm focusing, the listeners are listening right now. They're like, hey, Simon, great advice. I've got I'm focusing on whatever generates me the most revenue right now. That's my consulting, right? Now you're telling me to take this information, maybe create a book, create other products and services, courses, do the podcast, use that as lead gen, all these things, right, to create revenue. When do I know as an entrepreneur when that's the right time to do that instead of just focusing on the cash cow?
So the order of things is first the one-on-one work, one-on-one consulting.
Okay.
Then groups, cohorts, programs. Now you're above 35K per month. Now you add licensing, courses, which is a product, paid newsletter, which is a product, sponsors of your podcast, which is a product. All these things you add later on. So that's the exact order of things. One-on-one consulting, group work, licensing, subscriptions, courses, sponsors, and then 5 more things that we teach in the Sprint Club. But this is the order of things.
I love it. So it's a certain revenue metric that you have to achieve to say, I'm this successful, making this much margin, then I can scale and do X, Y, Z.
Yes, because if you, and many people fail at this because they do the right things in the wrong order.
What? I got that. Right things in the wrong order.
Because they start, for example, with a low ticket item. And what happens when you start with a low ticket item? Let's say, let's start with the course. Let's sell the course first. A $200 course on how to do XYZ. 90% chance you're going to fail because cheap course, $200, means you will have the most demanding clients. The cheaper it is, the most demanding the buyers are. These are people that will ask you for refunds. They will ask you to why doesn't translate into their currency. They will ask you, but why doesn't this work with my tech setup? So these are the most demanding clients, and you are not making enough margins to actually answer all these questions. So you will burn out if you start with a low ticket. That's why you start with a high ticket one where you keep 90% of each client, and they are less demanding because clients who are very successful, they know that success needs dedication and that they own their own success. They don't make you responsible for their success. That's why they are successful in the first place.
Message.
High ticket.
And so they're less demanding. They're more fun to work with. They will make it easy for you to make them successful. They are successful already. You're just helping them be more successful. And what you build with them, now you reuse as a lower ticket item for a broader set of the market. But you have enough margins that you can actually afford to take time and attention away from the core.
I love it. I love it, man. What's working best for you right now from a lead gen perspective? Just curious. I know obviously you have a brand, you have the book, you have a lot of different things, keynotes, things like that. But what's been the most effective outreach for you to gain new customers?
It's book, it's YouTube, and it's X, and LinkedIn.
Okay. X over LinkedIn's kind of the reach, the algorithms changes, a bunch of things happen. It's not like it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, but X over LinkedIn right now, that's been helpful.
Yes, both. I mean, LinkedIn is generating more revenue for us per month, but X is generating faster growth per month because it's much more vital, it's much more alive, it's much more dynamic and fast, right? It's the pulse on X is a much higher pulse. So yeah, all of them. The book the most because it works in countries that I've never visited, and it works while we're sleeping. And so we wake up and people have implemented half of the book and want to implement the other half and are asking for a sprint coach. So really the strongest is the book.
So how are you tracking attribution? That's a
I have
major
no
thing.
idea about.
You don't track attribution, you just know it's the book.
Well, depends what you mean by attribution. So in the end, what we track is in Slack, it says ping, this person wants to work with you.
Got it.
And then when we try to track it back, we know, okay, the book was involved, but we don't know what was before. So did they see the book? The attribution before the book is a question mark. We have no idea. If they came from Amazon, from YouTube to the book, we don't know that. But we know they read the book, they implemented parts of it, and now they're asking for a sprint coach because they either sent us an email or they downloaded something, parts of the tools. Each chapter of the book ends with, you can download this and do it on your own. So we see what they downloaded and how they start applying it. And at some point, they hop on a call with us and want help with implementing the rest of it.
And start the process. Start the sales
So
process.
from the book to us, we have attribution. Before the book, no idea. Did they see the book at Barnes and Noble or on Amazon or on YouTube? No idea.
That's fascinating to me, because I would think it would be kind of, obviously you need attribution across the whole sales cycle, but I would think in the beginning stages, because you want to know your book is sold at Barnes and Nobles or Amazon, right? Don't you want to know the traffic sources that actually brought them to the book so you could double down on that more?
You will never have that knowledge because Amazon doesn't give you that knowledge. Barnes and Noble doesn't give you that data. But yeah, it would be great to know. But attribution is tough. And for small businesses, it's not worth it putting so much effort into tracking all of that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And for those listening, attribution, guys, if you aren't familiar with the term, it's just basically is marketing attribution, us finding where did someone find us in order to get to a sale purchase, right? That's the beginning of the sales cycle. If you don't know me from Adam, from Apple, right? You go on LinkedIn right now, you see me on the podcast with Simon. This is the first touch point of the attribution. Now, if you come to my website and now look at services, you looked at the LinkedIn course, you go to Simon, you purchase the book, right? That's what we're saying, that attribution part. It would be nice for us as sales and marketers to know that information, but if you're not at a point where there's certain revenue, it doesn't make sense to look too much into it. It's just try your hardest to get people in there, right? So another thing you talked about too, I'm curious, because you're also doing podcasts, the licensing deal. How did you negotiate the licensing deal? Like, because I'm in all transparency, I've had people come to me like, AI companies, right? Hey, Jarrett, you have 260 episodes. We want to license the content to train our algorithm, right? How do you put a price on it? How did you come up with a good number that you felt comfortable with?
That's a great question. And we teach this in the Sprint Club. It's a whole module. It's one of the biggest modules in the Sprint Club. Because one thing is, so it's multiple parts.
Yeah, how do you value?
And we learned this from our partner, who's Jay Abraham. So the second book is written together with Jay Abraham, and he is the godfather of licensing deals and partnerships in general, but specifically licensing deals. I learned the most from him and with him, doing these things with him. And in the Sprint Club, we share, I think we have 30 examples of licensing contracts. So there are 30 ways of doing that. But before we give access to the contracts, we have a little module on how you prepare your IP to be ready for licensing. So we help them make a list of the things that they have knowledge about, but they didn't yet put out of their head in a way that can be licensed. So for example, a manuscript can be licensed. That's a material thing that can be licensed, right?
Okay.
Book can be licensed. A method can be licensed. But what is a method and how you define a method? That's what we cover in the Sprint Club as an own module. Or if you know something, how do you get it out of your head and put it in a form that's actually licensable? That's most of the work. When you have it out there as a manuscript, then it's easy. A publisher will ask you, can I translate this into this language? And there is also there a full module on how you find people who want to license your work and then how you scale it inside their organization. Because once you have licensed it, then you can scale it with train the trainers or with licensing deals per seat. So, for example, if Google wants to license your method, then they would pay for every single Googler that uses the method on top. So that's first licensing layer and then second licensing layer per seat.
Wow. And so it behooves you to make sure that's successful in that licensing deal so they can re-up more and re-up more and re-up more and have more people use the method, right? But how do you, is it the same thing as, I'm assuming it's like trademarking a methodology. How do you do that? Is it the same thing as regular business? So probably people are thinking of like, Jarrett, can I trademark my methodology? Can you?
You can. And with many deals, you don't even know it. So you don't even need it. So with these 30 examples, we didn't trademark most of those 30. So in terms, there is the last module is legal, but it's the last module. First, you have to really understand what does the other side need? What do they need to solve? And so how do you need to package things so that they can use them to solve their problem?
Message.
Problem. The very last problem is defendability. And this is when you need, in theory, legal ownership of that. But for example, a book, the Strategist Prince book, that itself is IP protection enough when you publish a book. In this case, you have a methodology that you don't have to extra go through legal hoops and put a trademark on it, because the act of publishing itself, you put it out in the world, that's defendable already, because you can show, hey, I was the first one to talk about this.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. This is fascinating me. I'm having a great time. I'm learning so much from you, Simon. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I'm kind of rapid fire and shooting quick because there's so much shit going through my head right now. Like, so you seem like you have a lot figured out, right? And you've done amazing with your business. What was the most challenging thing that you encountered in your business? What was I feel like every entrepreneur has that one moment where it's like, shit, I'm about to give up. I'm about to quit, man. This isn't going how I've got the framework, but it's not hitting the way it's supposed to. I gotta hit rent on this month or mortgage, and that's when things go haywire. What was that moment for you, brother? How did you overcome?
I have that moment every day, 5 times.
That's all of us.
It's just getting smaller if you want, but it's happening every day 5 times. Like last week we said, all right, we don't need to have any employees anymore. We're gonna buy 5 Mac Minis, and on that Mac Minis we're putting AI, and that thing gets their own email address, and that's the new employee. And so we run for that for a week, and then after a week of barely sleeping and building our digital employees, we realized they're only good at doing $5 per hour tasks. And so completely back, an 80 hours week wasted, not wasted, but we learned that it's not that effective and scalable as we thought. But that's an example, right? You go into one direction, and that's why we compartmentalize things in weekly sprints, right? Because you don't want to waste more than 7 days on something like that.
Absolutely.
Just go for it. You think you can go for it? Go for it. Don't overthink it. Just run with it, right? Buy those 5 Mac Minis, build everything that you can in 7 days, and then let's review.
Oh man, let's review. I love it. I love it, man. And so also talk about the podcast, man. Talk to us about the podcast. When did you start podcasting, and how has that helped your business?
So I'm the worst podcaster on the planet.
Why do you say that?
But I love it. I love it. And we are now, I think, 900 episodes in.
Woo! Congrats, man.
but none of them is edited. It's just me sharing what we're building and what we're doing. That's why it's the worst on planet Earth, because it has never been edited by anybody. It's literally me just having fun and sharing what's not working, sharing what's working. So it's real. It doesn't have the size of the Joe Rogan audience, obviously, but it's real. And the few people who follow it, they are making money, and we are learning together. And we are a passionate community of sprinters. That's what we call ourselves. And we build stuff. And it's not just business, because it's our life's time that we put into this. It's our life, it's our attention.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't put the attention into the business, I would put it into my kids, my wife, my friends. So it's important. It's not just the destination. It's the journey.
Message.
And we focus on making this journey as fun as possible. It's an adventure with a lot of lows and highs, more lows than highs, but the highs are pretty cool. And so this adventure, that's what it's all about. And so we want to have it a communal experience, because sales alone sucks. It's terrible. But sales in a communal environment, in a challenge, in a quest, in a team effort, if it's communal, it really rocks.
Yeah.
It brings out the best of you, the best of me. We can push each other. Come on, Jarrett, close another deal. That's really fun.
Yeah, when you're not closing deals and it's not hitting quota, that's when it sucks.
And then it sucks. Oh, then I'm going to put in more hours.
Oh man, that's crazy too, man. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs to build that community, right? Because that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs face, right? They like, I have the audience, I have the YouTube, I have the following here, but how do I put all this shit together, Jarrett? Simon, what do I do? So what would you tell them?
Step one is decide one place where all your content will live. One place.
One place.
So we mentioned all sorts of places: LinkedIn, X, YouTube, books, etc.
Yeah.
But now, if you want to actually build community, decide one place. Pick one place. Okay. And now you will put all your content there, your videos, your PDFs, your lead magnets, your communication in one place. That's the toughest decision. And most of our clients, they start with just a Google folder. They put everything into a folder.
Yeah.
And then we show them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 software options. Or if they're technical, they build their own app. Like we have built our own app. It's the Strategist Sprints app. So we are now on the phone, and there is one place where right now 250 sprinters, they have all access to everything that I know, to all the blueprints, to all the contracts, to everything. And they can tag me. I'm like Jarvis, they are Iron Man, and they can ask me immediately, hey, Simon, this is the email that I'm sending out. Criticize the email before sending out. Can I have a better subject line? What should be the first line? Is there a better first line than this one? So that's when you have a vibrant community. But how do you start? By defining one place. Pick one place, put everything there, and start giving access to people there and answering questions there. The rest will unfold week by week from there. But this is the biggest decision.
So what I'm gonna have to ask you: owned or earned, right? Do you want to go somewhere like YouTube? Say for instance, YouTube. Okay, you can go there, have all of it placed there, right? But it's not your own channel. Should somebody focus their resources on their own, like a school community, a Discord, their website, right, where they have their own first party data? That's what I get that question all the time.
You need to own it. So school is not good enough. You need to own it. It cannot be Facebook. It cannot be school, especially not Facebook and not school, because those things are totally distracting. They are built to pull away your buyers and to pull them to somebody else's school. So there's too many schools in school, and there's too many groups in Facebook. So you have to pick something that's not distracting, something that's either a closed community, like your own app, or a closed, whatever you can build. It can be a closed Discord group, something that's close enough and not distracting. Can be a private Slack group. But you actually soon enough will want to have all your knowledge there, your videos, etc. And so you will end up with something like Kajabi, Mighty Networks, Circle, or build your own.
Love it, man. I've got one last question before we head out of here, man. What does the mountaintop look like for you, man? Because as you're saying all this stuff, I'm like, where the hell do you get the time, Simon? We're talking about burnout. What do you do for fun, man? What do you do to get some release? Like, what does that look like for you, man?
So there is no mountaintop. After every mountaintop, there's the next mountain and the next mountain and the next mountain. So the journey stays journey. There is no top, no bottom. There is always adventure. And so personally, I have only one goal. So yes, we have the focus card with the key activities and swim lanes, but really the only one goal is having fun right now.
The only goal is having fun.
So how to be the most alive during this adventure of being an entrepreneur, which is an adventure. And it's wild. So the more you can live it, like really live it, not just partially live it, but really lean fully into it, the more it's rewarding. The more you learn about yourself, you get feedback, you grow as a person, you grow in your level of service, right? How much can I serve? How much more can I serve? That's the journey. That's the work, actually, of being a business owner.
You nailed it. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this because this is such a fun one, man. This is so dope. I learned a lot from you, Simon, and I definitely want to tell you, welcome to the More Than Entitled community, Simon. So what that entails, brother, is you are now part of the community. You're part of the family. We've had 260 guests on this show. Anybody we speak to before, you've spoken to before you, or speak to after you have direct access to, Simon. So if you see somebody come on the show, hey, Jarrett, man, can you make an introduction? That's what we do because I value your time. You came on the show. You gave us valuable information. This wasn't, payola. This is a building of a relationship. So I want to say thank you, Simon, brother. Thank you for all of that. And please let the people know where they can find you, how they could join the Sprinters Club and see some more about you.
So they can come to strategysprints.com and try everything out for 7 days for free, and they can hang out with us for 7 days. It's strategysprints.com.
All right, I'm going to have the link in the YouTube description, guys. If you guys want more, it's going to be on all the YouTube descriptions as well as all the posts. So if you want to, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to try it too. So I'm going in there. I'm going to try the 7 days with Simon. I'm going to go in there and see what the frameworks look like. Man, but with that being said, man, this was such a great episode, and it reiterates what we say all the time, right? This gentleman came on the show, told you I didn't have it figured out, right? I was working in consulting. I had a plan. I was going to philosophy. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it's okay not to have it figured out. But once you find your purpose, then that will be your GPS. He found something he enjoyed. He wanted to help big businesses. He understood that his past, the trajectory was he had a ceiling where he was at. He bet on himself, right? Didn't know it all, didn't have the frameworks, created all this stuff on the fly, which reiterates that you do not have to be perfect to build the life for you that's perfect. And trust me, entrepreneurship is not perfect. It's ups, downs, hills, there's major drop-offs. You're going to lose friends, people that you love. All these things are going to happen. But once again, like Simon said, he said it so eloquently, is enjoy this adventure. A lot of us don't enjoy the adventure, man. It's terrifying. Yes, I know. You have to pay your mortgage. Yes, I know. You have to close that deal. But think about how much fun. Think about you preparing for that deal, how much excitement you have. That's the alive that he's talking about when you're building something from scratch. So I want to encourage more of us to build something from scratch. Continue to build your own, and we will end up reaping the rewards, y'all. So y'all know what it is, man. It reiterates the dream. The dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately, y'all. We're going to see y'all on Thursday. Shout out to Simon Severino for a great episode, man. This ain't going to be the last time you're going to see this brother.
Keep rolling, man.
What you know about me? Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just want it all.